Hey there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Allison Mancini, your holistic nutritionist, and I'm here with my amazing sidekick.
Hi, I'm Julietta, the Magical PT. Welcome to the Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we support, uplift, and empower women to become the goddess that they are meant to be. Today, we are joined by Kristin Vincent. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Hi there, ladies. Thank you so much for having me.
Introduce yourself. Tell us all about you.
You got it. My name is Kristin Vincent. I am the owner and director of Express Yourself Dance Studio in Coral Springs, Florida. And I'm going into year number 13. So my first baby here is becoming a teenager. In addition to that, I'm also a mother of two. My first son, Jackson, is 7. My other son is Tyler, is 2 years old. So busy balancing both being a business owner and a mother, and loving every minute of it. So exciting stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I have to give a plug to the studio because my daughter danced with Kristin for 11 years, 12 years. Yep. Like she started like a year or two after you started, but Kristin's amazing, and my daughter learned so much, grew so much, is an amazing young woman, and I have to give Kristin some credit for that because she spent half her life with Kristin. So
she did. Second mommy, she called me. So
it's true.
And she's on the wall. She's on the senior wall now. She's forever part of the studio. So
I don't think I've seen that yet. I'm gonna have to come in and see that.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. She did go and take class with you the other day. I'm like, how did it go? She's like, I think I did okay. I'm like,
oh, did great. It was so much fun tapping with her again. I miss it so much.
All right, so we are going to jump right into our questions. We are so excited to have you here today. So our first question to you is, if you had a superpower, what would it be, or what is your superpower if you know you already have one?
Okay, it's hard to judge yourself, so thinking about that one. But I really think with what I do at the studio, I would say my superpower is giving the gift of confidence to children all the way through adults. We put 18-month-old babies out on a stage and they look wonderful and they dance. And I do this all the way through dancing dads. Allison, we put dads up on our stage, even with 2 left feet, they get up there and we make everyone look good and feel confident. And, with the studio, it's not just about becoming a professional dancer, it's more about, the skill set that you acquire along the way as well. And I think it's about the life lessons you get in other areas, that really makes the difference. And so I really think giving that confidence to other people is something I would say is a superpower. Along with being a mom, which I would give a kudos to every mom out there as I'm, learning, still have young children. Somehow we get everything done. So I would say that's definitely a superpower.
But I will agree with your confidence because I have a little story I can attest to. So when we would go to nationals, a certain competition would have the parents do a dance that Kristin would always convince all of us parents to get up on stage and dance in front of all these people with like a few rehearsals. Like we would learn the dance the night before and then we would get up, or the day before. Yep. I don't know. And so she even got parents that don't dance to dance. Like that is a huge superpower. And you made us feel really good about ourselves. Like she was always like, you guys were awesome. And we probably were terrible.
No, you were awesome.
So that's giving people confidence, that's such a gift because so many people walk around with no confidence, and being able to encourage people, and that's what we're about on this show is, empowering people. So awesome. I love that.
Well, I think too, like I was thinking about it as she was talking about that, because you said about giving kids skill sets that they wouldn't necessarily get otherwise. And that's one of the things I loved about, my son was in hockey and Lexi was at dance with you, is they do learn so many things from being in those activities, from not only teamwork, because they definitely learn teamwork, but they also learn self-motivation, self-discipline, how to be accountable. They learn how to be coachable, which is a huge thing I think a lot of young adults tend to be missing now is, it's hard to be coachable all the time because you want to do things your way. But I think when you're in an atmosphere like a dance studio, especially the competitive side, you really have to learn to all those skills. So I agree with you. I think all of that for you is a major superpower. So kudos to you for doing that for our young people, because it is incredible.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Like I said, we have a ton of young students here, and we start at 18 months. And so for a lot of the parents, it's the first time away from mommy, even just stepping into that classroom. So there's tears, that happen. So sometimes I say some of my biggest accomplishments are just having that kid not cry anymore. Like now they can just walk in confidently into class and take class away from mom. And I'm just as happy as doing that as teaching someone to do, a million fouette turns, right? So
that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Our next question is, and we always tell everybody to pick one, but if you can't pick one, it's okay. We get it. But what is your favorite book or the book that has been most influential on your life?
The Secret. For sure. If other people said that, probably. I don't. It was one of those, like, you picked it up cover to cover, and it just spoke to me, because it's all about, if you believe something, it can happen. And I just feel like it's the story of my life, especially with owning this dance studio. Since I was a little girl, I said I was going to do this, and I just put it out into the universe. And here we are today, 13 years later, owning a studio. So it's just truly been the story of my life, and it spoke to me right away. And it was like one of those ones I just cover to cover couldn't stop reading it. So
how old were you when you took over ownership of the studio?
I was 26.
Yeah, that's young to start a business and doing it all yourself. And and it's a lot. Like, people don't get it. I don't even totally get it, because I'm not you, but being a parent in that world, you're managing a lot of stuff. Like, that's huge.
There's a lot of hats, yes, definitely. And I didn't realize how many there were until I really got into it. But some that I love wearing more than others, but for sure.
We all feel that way. But The Secret is a great book. We've had other guests talk about The Secret. We've both read The Secret. It is such a great book. And I think it just really opens up a new world of possibilities that I think a lot of people don't realize is there. So it's a very cool book. Mm-hmm. All right. You ready? Our next question is, because you wear a lot of hats, not only are you mom and 2 young kids, but you're wearing a ton of hats there at the studio. I feel like you mom like 30 to 50 children on a regular basis, but what is your favorite way to take care of you? How do you take time out for you? What's your favorite self-care practice?
Definitely exercise. Which is funny when I say that, because everyone always says, you don't have to exercise. You're dancing all day long. Why do you need to exercise? And, the answer to that is that when I exercise, that's for me. When I teach, that's for everyone else. I'm planning the class. I'm making sure they're doing it well. I'm watching what they're doing. Yes, I'm being active, which is wonderful. But when I exercise, that's me taking time for myself. And I also like to go to someone else's class and or pop on YouTube and like follow something. That way, it's also therapeutic for me, because it's taking the thinking out of it. I think all day long and make decisions all day, every day. So it's when I press play on someone else's video and follow along, taking all the thinking out of it for me, and I'm doing something good for my body. And I enjoy breaking a sweat. And it just feels good to, let that out that way.
I agree.
I've talked about that several times with people lately. Like, when you're a business owner, you're making decisions all day long and telling people what to do all day long. It's like, when I'm done working, there's nothing I love more than like someone just telling me what to do. Like, it just like takes so much pressure off, going out to dinner, where should we go? I'm like, that's the last thing I want to decide. Just tell me where you want to go. Let's go. I'll be fine. I'll find something on the menu, but don't make me make one more decision, because I do that all day long. So having someone else tell you what to do, like, sometimes it's like, no one tells me what to do, but sometimes it's just such a relief to have someone say, here, do this. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
And I like the comment you made. So it's funny, because when we went into the pandemic, I love yoga, and I go to the yoga studio right there behind your dance studio. And I love yoga. I went 3-4 times a week. I've drug Lexi there, which as a dancer, you would think she would like it, and she doesn't. So whatever. I know. Isn't that weird? Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't get it. Anyways, so when we went to the pandemic, I was doing YouTube videos, yoga, and it was fine. It like filled the gap for the while, and then they reopened the studio, but it was very, social distance, mask. And I do hot yoga. I really don't want to do hot yoga with a mask over my face. I feel like I'm already struggling enough, right?
Yeah.
And to have them, they would put pictures on social media. I'm like, I can't do that. But I finally went back yesterday. And when you said broke a sweat, so I did hot yoga, and they know me there, and they knew I had been gone. It's been almost 2 years. And I'm like, I'm finally coming back. And the teacher, she kept saying to me, just take breaks when you need it. I'm like, oh, believe me, I know I'm going to need it. And I will. I must have taken like 20 breaks. I was soaking wet. I was like, okay.
But you broke a sweat.
It was so nice to get. And it was like you said, I didn't have to think about anything but what she was telling me to do. That was so nice to do that, be in my own little space, my own world, break a sweat, do something that was good for my body. And it was wonderful. So I'm with you.
It's quite honestly the advice that I give to students during class. I'm like, that's the beauty of coming here every day. Let that all go and just focus on this. You don't focus on anything else. Just focus on whatever dance move we're working on at that moment. And being a better dancer, you don't have to think about anything else in your life. So works both ways.
We actually had a guest. Do you remember this? Was this Stella Giulietta that does the hip hop classes? Yeah, we have a guest. She's like got to be 27, 28 maybe. And her self-care practices, she does hip hop classes. And I can't remember the name of the studio now that she goes to. You probably know it if I could think of it. It's somewhere in Fort Lauderdale. But she goes, they have like an open hip hop class for adults. And it's a blast. She's trying to get Julietta and I to go. So
yes, do it.
What I'm laughing though is thinking about, she's 20 something, I'm 50 somethings.
I don't really have the moves for hip hop, I don't feel like, but I don't know, maybe.
Dance is for everybody. That's why my studio is called Express Yourself. So it's for everybody.
There you go. All right. Our next question, and before our takeaways, and this is a big one. And part of the reason that we asked this question is because when we started this podcast back in September was when we started like putting this all in motion. And a good friend of ours is in social media marketing and does marketing plans. And she said to us, if you're going to do this, and this is the people that you want to help and your audience you're reaching out to, you need to do some research. So we interviewed a ton of women like the three of us and said, what do you need most when it comes to your life? And the one thing that stood out with all of these women, I would say 90% of them, was they said they struggle with accountability, how they stay, how they find accountability, how they keep themselves accountable. So the question to you for our viewers and our audience is, how do you hold yourself accountable? How do you find accountability in your everyday life?
That's a good one for me. Well, literally being the team director of these dancers, I teach it. I teach accountability on a daily basis. And it is what just, it's the most important thing I think in life is accountability. And because I'm teaching and requiring so much of parents and students to be accountable, to show up on time, to have everything they need, to do all these things, you also have to practice what you preach. So I can't teach accountability and not show them what accountability is. So literally for me, it's all about scheduling. I'm a walking calendar. You know this about me, Allison. I schedule my life and many others out for years and years. So I once it goes on my schedule, it's happening. So if I say I'm going to do something, if I say I'm going to be somewhere, you have to do it. And that's for me. Once I write it down, it has to happen. I'm almost to a fault. Like if I say it's happening, it's happening. So I think teaching it, obviously, for the most part, is what really helps, keep me in check as well.
Well, and I think I look back at the years that Lexi was with you, and you hold your students very accountable, even at a young age. You have expectations and things that they have to do. But I love you always held us accountable as parents too, because they're younger and under the age of 18. They have to rely on us, right? I mean, we have to be accountable too as their parent, because we have to get them there and make sure that they're there on time. So it's not just them being accountable, but it's us too. And I remember that we had our parent team meeting every year, and Kristin was very good about laying, this is our calendar, this is what my expectations are, and this is where you have to be. And when we didn't do that, she was very kind about it, but she held us accountable for sure.
You learned about it, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a great. We find that a lot with the women that we interview. It's not just about them using a planner or a calendar, but it's about the people around them. They are held accountable by their family, by their friends, by their work, their their patients, their clients, whatever they are. So yeah, I think we find accountability in all areas for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Are we ready, Julietta, for our takeaways? Because you've been hanging out. I'm letting you go first with your takeaway. So what is your takeaway, Julietta, from our conversation?
So one thing that I was really thinking about, and I always laugh because when I was a kid, I wanted to take ballet classes so bad, but I never really got to take them. I'm guessing it's because my family couldn't really afford to put me into dance classes. And but just hearing all of this and thinking about what a good way it is to set up our youth. Like so many of the things that we talk about, those things they're getting in dance class. And that's just like a really amazing way for setting up our kids for success, you know, and looking at your daughter, Lexi, what an amazing young woman she is. And probably her experience in dance, you know, yes, it's because she has an amazing mother, but I'm sure that that the dance played a huge role in her becoming, you know, what she is. And so just how beautiful that is.
I think that the confidence that she gained, like when I'll never forget Kristin, the first time she did, well, it would have been her duo with Hannah. It would have been really the first time she was on stage, just the two of them outside of a large group. But then when she did her first solo, I was like, I cannot believe this girl can get up on stage in front of hundreds of people by herself, remember all of those moves, because tap is not easy. That was the one thing I didn't ever do was tap. Tap is not easy. And she smiled and had a sassy face the whole time. Like the combination of everything that they're accomplishing at one time. Like Lexi gets so mad at her brother all the time because he'll be like, you weren't really an athlete. And she's like, yes, I was. That is like a dancer is an athlete. You know, he's just giving her a hard time because she's a girl and it's his sister. But she's like, that's really hard what we do. And I would look at Nicholas and I'd be like, could you get up on stage and do what she's doing by herself? He's like, nope, no. So the confidence, and I think that she doesn't always like it still, but she's able to go into situations by herself and handle it because of the confidence she got from doing what she did at dance. So I think it's huge. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Very much you're empowering our youth big time. And thank you for doing that because it's a lot of kids you see come through your door every day. So good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so my takeaway. So Kristin at one time did have adult ballet classes that I did do, but I think timing of life, I was too crazy. I was a ballerina. I can dance. You can take me to a nightclub and I can dance. Been there. But I can't really feel like, I'm not really the hip hop kind of girl. So I feel like maybe I need to try to find a dance class somewhere in between, right? Like not necessarily ballet because I have done adult ballet classes.
So we're doing jazz funk in the fall. You have to come check this out. It's like perfect jazz funk. So it's a nice combo of like not straight hip hop, still has that jazz technique to it, but we're going to get, a little funky. So you got to come join us.
Are you teaching it or somebody else teaching it?
Miss Alyssa's teaching it, but she's fabulous. You'll love her.
Okay.
Maybe I'll join you.
Okay, I'll do that because it's funny because I did take adult ballet classes through Kristin's studio, and then Courtney up in Boca, I took a couple of hers, and I was like, my body can't do this stuff anymore. Let's be real. Like, and what would happen is I would get so frustrated because I would remember how I used to be, and I no longer could do that, and I would get really like annoyed with myself, and I would walk out of the class feeling like defeated, and it just really ticked me off. So that's my takeaway. Okay, so now you're talking to jazz funk class. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Lexi will be thrilled. She'll get over it. Okay, Kristin, what is your takeaway from our conversation today?
Wow. So, when you contacted me and I even just saw the title here, Voices of the Goddess, I thank you. I'm I'm flattered that you thought of me for that. So it was interesting to kind of think of myself in that light. And you go about your daily business doing what you do every day, and you don't really necessarily think of it that way. It's just something I do every day, right? And so you kind of forced me to think of myself and put myself on a little bit of a pedestal, and I appreciate that, you giving that to me, giving me that moment to think about where I've come, especially in this last year, and just being able to sit here and have this conversation with you ladies today. It's a blessing. So I thank you for that. And the fact that you thought of me and all the things you've said today about Lexi and where she's come with her dance. I mean, you quite literally are the reason I do what I do. Families like you that come through my door every day, that get to have that experience. And then it's such an honor to know children like Lexi, young women now, grow up and just be so successful and have dance and their experience here be a part of that. So thank you for that. For having me.
Again, Terry. You know what? This is exactly why we do this, because so when Juliet and I started talking about this in the middle of the pandemic, this is the reason that we know each other through a networking association that we're in. And we decided when we went into the pandemic that I called her up and I said, can we just talk once a week? Like, can we have a set weekly phone call? Because this is really freaking, this is crazy, all this that's going on. And I feel like we just need to talk. And from that evolved this whole, you know what, there's so many women out there that are struggling, don't realize what a difference they make, are so amazing, and no one is telling them. And there's so many women out there that need to hear stories like yours, Kristin, that are supporting them. And that's why we did this. And that's why I'm getting teary. And because you said my daughter was a wonderful woman.
Yes.
But no, it's true. When you look back at, when I look back, she's going to be 22 at the end of this month. And when I look back at when she started with you, she was like a baby. She was a total baby. So, yeah, no, I'm so glad you're on here. And I know this has not been an easy year for people in your business and your industry. It's been a struggle. So kudos to you for taking it on, making it happen. Obviously, you're using that whole from The Secret, you're putting that out there and doing what you had to do. And I'm excited for you. And I'm excited you're having an adult jazz funk class in the fall.
Can't wait.
All right, nice. Juliet, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, this has been an amazing interview. Thank you so much, Kristin, for joining us today. Thank you to our audience for listening, and everything that we talked about in the show, how to get in touch with any of us, how to access any of the things that we've talked about in the discussion you can find it in the comments, in the show notes. And if you liked it, please, on YouTube, on our podcast, please subscribe and share this with other goddesses out there. Let's all support and uplift and encourage each other. Have a magical day, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.